What if the thing standing between you and the life you want isn't lack of resources, it isn't a lack of opportunity, it isn't even a lack of effort? What if the thing standing in between you and what you want that's in your way is a pattern? A pattern that you haven't been able to fully recognize or see. Here's what I've noticed in myself, working with other people, in different institutions, communities. Most people are not failing because they're not trying. They're simply spinning in circles because they're operating on autopilot, responding the same way, making decisions the same way, feeling the same feelings over and over, having the same arguments. I mean, it's like a never ending cycle. And it's always what? It's always giving the same results. And they don't know why they're getting the same results. And I'll tell you why. Because no one ever taught me how to look inward. Well, today, that changes, my friend. And if something resonates with you, please stay with me. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is one pattern that keeps repeating in your life, no matter what you do to try to stop it? What is one pattern? And you can wait to the end of the video to drop your comment. Please do. Once you've fully kind of said, did a little bit of self-evaluation. Also, like and subscribe because this space is for you now. Welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time visiting. I'm Simply Bettina, your mind architect and lifestyle design strategy, and you've just entered a space where transformation is elegant, intentional, and grounded in truth. This episode is the first in the Conscious Ascension Compass, and it's a guided journey through 8 key aspects that's going to help shape your inner world. And if you haven't watched the introduction episode, I highly suggest that you watch it. But if this is your entry point, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The compass is a framework I developed to help myself as well as individuals understand their internal systems that shape their choices, shape who they are, shape their patterns and their lives. My life, my patterns, your patterns, shape it all. And at the center, the heart, the epicenter of the compass is the true self synergy. It is where you become one with who you are, become balanced with yourself. It's a state where different aspects or different parts of who you are begin working with each other instead of going against each other, right? We want to work together and we do not want friction. So, other words, this journey is really to help you become aligned. And in that alignment, we're going to start with introspection and self reflection. Yes, introspection and self reflection, which can be a little nerve wracking. You're like, well, how do I reflect on myself? It's easy to reflect on a situation you came out of to see the outside of that situation. But when you really take time to go within yourself and analyze yourself objectively, you are the watcher of you. That's when you really begin to break down who you are and really begin to see those patterns that you might be stuck in, that you don't fully realize it. Because what? You cannot redesign a life that you don't understand, and you cannot understand your life if you have not examined it. So it's important. We've got to understand ourselves, and to understand ourselves, we must examine ourselves. And we're going to do that through introspection and self-reflection. Now, before we go any deeper, let's slow things down. We're going to take a few breaths just to regulate our nervous system. And this is just how you can reset yourself when you're stressed, you've had a long day, when you're feeling out of your normal self, whatever that may be, you. Just take a couple deep breaths. So let's go ahead and breathe in through the nose. We're going to hold it for about 4 seconds. We're going to breathe out through the mouth. And we're going to do that 2 times. I recommend you do it more than 2 times. However, for the sake of the purpose of this video, we're going to Do it twice just so you can get in the routine of it. So we're going to breathe in, hold it, release. Breathe in, hold it, release. You can always tell if you're a little stressed because when you breathe in, that air is supposed to go in your belly. If you're chest breathing, then that means you're holding on to a little bit of stress. So make sure when you breathe in, your belly's going out and you're not chest breathing. Okay. I'm noticing myself whenever I'm a little bit on the edge and I'm breathing through my chest versus my belly. Belly breathing is the most healthiest level of breathing you can do. All right. That breath that we just did, it interrupted an automatic response, an automatic process, because your body breathes without your permission. You don't need permission to breathe, and you don't have to tell your body to breathe. Thank goodness, right? That'd be scary if you had to remember to breathe, because I forget a lot of things, and I do not want to have to remember to breathe consistently. So your body's breathing without your permission. And at the moment when we decided we chose to consciously breathe, that small act is the beginning of introspection because we brought awareness to something that's automatically happening without our intention. And that's what we're going to be doing today, but in a much deeper way. So before we begin, I just want to offer you something. Give yourself permission today. You do not have to fix anything today. You do not have to have all the answers today because that would be stressful. And you do not have to perform growth today. All you need to do is observe yourself like a scientist, okay? Little notebook, little notepad, and just observe. You're not the judge. Just observe. Always remember, we listen and we don't judge. This is not a space for you to look and analyze yourself and notice some pattern and then feel all horrible about it. No, please, let's not get into that. Just know you're always in control of your own processes. So take that with you today. So let's look at introspection, the art of turning your attention inward, not in a spiral, but we're just going inward and we're not doing any self-criticism. And this is the practice of really asking ourselves, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? Why did I respond that way? What does this pattern tell me about myself? See, without introspection, most of us operate from what I call automatic behavior loops. This consistent. A trigger happens, the emotion fires, bam, reaction follows. Trigger, emotion, reaction. I know what it feels like. I'm sure all of us know what that feels like. Something triggers you. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm talking about positives and negatives, okay? Sometimes I'm thinking about the negative trigger and the emotion that followed behind it and the reaction like, oh my gosh, girly, what is happening? But that's why awareness is so important. It's so important because it can bring you out of that loop and it can stop you. And this whole process takes about a fraction of a second to happen. You don't have to think about this. It's like bam, bam, bam. And before you know it, you're reacting before your conscious thought ever really entered the room. It's the way it is. And that's not a flaw. It's something that's just built into us. The brain is designed that way. It helps us it helps protect us through pattern recognition. Patterns are important, but it's also important to recognize them when we no longer need those particular patterns in the situation anymore because we can outgrow them. Life changes, we change. A lot of those patterns were written way back in the day. No, not way back in the day, but back in your day, right? So you might have been 5, you might have been 2, you might have been 12, 18, 34, 48, 65. Who knows when these patterns were written, right? They're old experiences, they're old environments, old voices that told you who you were and what the world was like. And as you go through life, things change. Introspection is how you understand and you access that source code, right? Because we're almost like a little computer program. We want to get in there and we want to reprogram the system because we don't want to run on old software, and we don't want old hardware either. We need to make sure we're keeping ourselves together. because old hardware, you'd be like, oh my God, my back. My back's hurting right now, y'all, a little bit. So I need to get on that bike and hit that gym up and do a little bit of stretching so I can keep my hardware good and it can align with my software. But this is also the first step in choosing your own patterns instead of inheriting them. I've been working on myself for quite some time, building new patterns because the old patterns that I were inherited, they no longer serve me and they no longer serve where I'm going. And to continue to use those patterns would be detrimental to where I'm going. And so it's important for me to say, we're done, patterns. You're done. I'm gonna write a new code real quick. You're done. So let's look at 3 layers of our inner world, okay? Layer 1, thoughts. Thoughts are the narrators of our inner world. They consistently run. There's no shutting that thought off until you go to sleep. And many of them are below our conscious awareness. We're not even fully aware of some of the thoughts that are coming in. However, they shape everything. Our thoughts shape how we perceive a situation. They shape whether we feel safe, whether we feel threatened, how we're going to respond or react to a situation, whether we see possibility or limitation. Thoughts are highly important. I can't place enough emphasis on that. And most people say our thoughts are facts, but that's not true. But we sometimes live like our thoughts are facts. We interact with the world based on our thoughts, and our thoughts might be wrong because our thoughts are coming from a place of old situations, old patterns, old behaviors, things people put into us, words that we heard. And they're not. They're not us and they're not facts. They're interpretations. And once you know that, you have the power to examine those thoughts. Layer 2, emotions. Emotions are data. They are not your enemy. However, occasionally they do feel like they don't like you. They're not weaknesses. They are actually signals, rich, intelligent signals telling you something about your internal experience. You could be out in Miami on a yacht, feeling like the life of the party. Those emotions you're going to be experiencing are going to feel euphoric. You're going to feel lovely, amazing. Those are wonderful, wonderful emotions that you're experiencing. Then you could have just got fired or laid off from your job. Your bills are due, and you're going to feel another surge of emotions, which are going to make you feel like the world is over, depending on the thoughts that are running through your mind and the patterns that you are experiencing. The emotions help make our decisions. They write the text messages. Yes, I had an amazing time. I can't believe this, right? They choose the words in an argument, and they can choose some good words sometimes. Yeah, emotions can do some things. Introspection is really, it gives your emotions a witness. Introspection allows you to witness those emotions, and you have to learn to be objective and understand you're going to go through those emotions, but you don't have to be those emotions. It's okay. It's going to happen. So, introspection, like I said, gives your emotions a witness, a part of you that can observe the feeling without becoming it. Because when you become the emotion, you become the rage. You become the experience versus observing and trying to figure out, well, what's happening to me right now? Why am I going through this? Why am I feeling this way? And last but not least is layer 3, which are the patterns we've been speaking about. And these patterns are the reoccurring sequences in your life. They are the way you respond under pressure or under happiness, the way you behave in relationships, the way you talk to yourself when you fail at something, or the way you succeed. Patterns feel like personality, but many of them are they're just habits. You think it's your personality, but you can change because people say all the time, "Oh, you changed it up on us. Oh, you switched it up." Yes, boo boo, I switched it up because that's no longer who and what I want to identify with. So don't take that as an insult when someone says you change. Change is lovely. Everyone should taste a little bit of change. You should never want to be the same old program. Even your iPhone doesn't update. The iPhone doesn't even want to stay the same. It wants to change. So if the iPhone wants to change, the computer wants to change, outdoor sheds itself and changes every year. I think we might need to be doing the same thing. Analyzing, looking at a few things, do a little bit of hibernating, and then come back fully changed. So those patterns that feel like personality are really just habits of thoughts and feelings, learned responses that became automatic, okay? And automatic responses can be intentional ones. We can make, we can change. And that's the power of how this works. So let's pause for a moment, and I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. And you do not have to answer them out loud, or you can if you're alone. Ask yourself these questions and just allow awareness to arise. What emotion do I/you experience most frequently throughout your day? What emotions are you experiencing most frequently throughout your day? Are you experiencing stress, frustration, low grade anxiety, high grade anxiety? Are you calm? Are you experiencing curiosity? What emotion are you experiencing throughout the day? And just notice, you don't need to judge yourself. Just understand it. See, because you want to be aware of what state you're in on a consistent basis. Question 2. What is one pattern in my life that keeps repeating, no matter how hard I try to change it? Is this pattern geared with relationships? Is it your finances? Oh. We listen and we don't judge. Is it your self-talk? Is it the way you respond to conflict? Just observe. I had to observe myself in all of those. And it was quite eye-opening, very eye-opening. And here's question 3. If you could understand one thing about yourself a little deeper, what would it be? And just sit with whatever arises. Don't try to change it. Be like, I don't like that one. I don't like it. I don't like it. Just sit there because you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. Introspection and self-reflection. It's something that you're going to consistently be doing because you're going to be consistently updating new software, because as you change, your experiences are going to change. Your environment is going to change. The people that come in and out of your life are going to change. Your employment, your opportunities, you name it. It's all going to change. So just whatever it is at this moment, sit with it so we can get to the bottom of it. Now let's build something. Yes, let's build something you can take with you. The Compass Daily Reflection is a simple 3-question practice. You can have more than 3 questions. We're just going to do this for the sake of time. Since this is not a workshop, it's a YouTube video. 5 minutes every day. You can journal it, video memo it. You can think quietly before you go to sleep. You just need to ask yourselves, what did I feel today? What did you feel today? Not what happened, but what did you feel? How did you feel? Was your chest tight all day? Was you excited, happy? Was you feeling down? How did you feel? And what were you operating from? Question 2, what influenced your decisions today? What were you operating from? Was you operating from clarity? Was you operating from fear? Was it habit? Was it someone else's expectations? What were you operating? What influenced your decisions today? And question 3, what pattern did you notice in your reactions? Where did you respond on autopilot? Where did you respond on autopilot? Did you notice you were on autopilot when you responded? One of those, hey, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Or someone could say, hey, did you see that? And because that's the first time you spoke to them today, you say, I'm doing fine. And they're like, huh? That's not what I asked you. I was making up a question, but I've done that before. Responded thinking they were going to ask me something, and that's not what they were going to ask me, but I was just on autopilot. So I just threw out a textbook response that it's normal, unconsciously. So what pattern did you notice in your reactions? Were you responding on autopilot, or did you choose? And if you did choose, where did you choose to respond consciously? And over time, these questions are going to create a map for you, a detailed, personalized map of your inner landscape. And then once you can see that map clearly, you'll really be able to navigate it a little bit deeper. What did I feel today? What influenced my decisions today? And what patterns did I notice in my reactions? So moving on, here's what introspection makes possible. It replaces confusion with clarity. And you begin to understand and see things clearer and understand the things that trigger you. That is extremely important. Do not want to be a walking time bomb. Do not want to be a walking nerve. You'll begin to understand why certain environments are starting to feel draining to you, why you're tired around certain people or certain places, why you feel alive in other places, why certain relationships feel aligned and others feel like they cost you something every time you're around them. It's just like it's pulling the life out of me. This clarity is a blessing and it is intelligence. This is your intelligence speaking to you. The kind of intelligence most people never access because they're moving too fast. We're just go, 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 go. And then you sleep, then you wake up, and you really never really fully have time to access the intelligence from within, which is that introspection and that self-reflection. But you are not moving too fast. You're here, and that means something. Now, before you leave this space, I want you to reflect on those patterns and those behaviors and those habits we just discussed. And I want you to start to think, what are you ready to understand in your life? What patterns are you finally ready to understand? And you don't have to solve it today, because like I said, this is a journey within. You don't have to fix it today. You just need to be aware. Awareness alone is one of the most powerful things in the beginning anyone can do for themselves. Is simply becoming aware of their self. So you can learn to control yourself. So you're not easily geppettoed out here. Because what becomes visible can become changeable. And what becomes changeable can become something that you design. Yes, you design. Now, if this resonated with you today, please stay with me. This channel exists for one reason and one reason only, and to help you, myself, others become conscious architects of our lives. Our lives are valuable and our lives are important. And while we are here on this earth, we need to be fully in control of who we are. And the only way we can do that is understand ourselves on a foundational level. And that is what I'm here for. And I just ask you, do the work so we can all collectively build ourselves and we can all reach out, each one teach one, and we can all help each other and make this world a beautiful, unified place. This channel exists for one reason, and that is for you to become the architect of your life and finally start designing the life that you desire and the life that you deserve. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time for episode 2, Purpose and Meaning.